What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a little update video on what has probably become my favorite deck in Edison Format, which is the Neospatian Dark Turbo pile that I have fixated on for like 8 months straight now. Of course, you all probably familiar with the previous iterations of this deck. The best we were really able to do with it was go like X2 Bubble or something at one of Keegan's events. But lately we've been adapting these builds that lean even more into the turbo element with like reckless greed and trade-ins, and this is kind of the latest iteration of that, which is a build with triple creator, triple dark Nephthys, and triple trade-in. Dark Nephthys, pretty whack card, and no one really plays it, but it kind of works out in this deck weirdly well. I gotta say, I have been preferring the Nephthys version lately to like the more standard version with Reckless Greeds. I think that or the, like the previous version that didn't have even more of those draw cards. I do think that this build is probably the best one that we have come across so far. Uh, so let's just go over the deck really quick and explain everything. So we've got, first of all, the Sork is gone in the faster builds because we were just trying to like tunnel vision onto our big creator when the game plays, rather than having this sort of mid game, positive plus tempo whatever guy with Sork that just like outs a card, and it's nice being able to out a card. On the other hand, we just want to drop Dark Creator and summon a billion things and attack for a game. And I think this build is definitely better for that. So triple creator, and that lets you streamline with triple Dark Panther as well. You don't have to play Glow Moss in your deck, which, the third Panther isn't really that much better than Glow Moss, but, it is not a complete and total, utter, terrible brick the way that Glow Moss is, I guess. So it's got that going for it. The Nephthys, a lot of you probably don't even know what Nephthys does. It's another way to actually use the darks in your grave. But essentially, if you have it in your hand, you can banish 2 darks in your grave, provided that you have at least 3 in your grave. Then you discard it, and then it comes back next turn. And then when it's special summoned at any time, it can destroy a spell trap on the field. And it doesn't have any conditions. It's not like Creator or Dad, where it must first be special summoned or can only be special summoned with its effect. You can just summon it however, whenever. So if you bring it out with Dark Creator, you just get to pop a spell trap. If you bring it out with Call or Return, you get to pop a spell trap. You bring it out with its own effect, you get to pop a spell trap. So the Nephthys, just like free plussing every time you summon it, is actually, the spot removal is pretty decent as well. It's like it gives you a nice big body you can bring back with Creator that just like also gets value, so it's pretty cool. Of course, we're still on the triple Armageddon Knight double Porter, and I've actually thrown in Garda now as well. I think with a lower trap lineup, Garda just becomes really necessary. There's definitely a lot of times in the older builds where I was missing it, but I just felt like we couldn't quite commit to putting it in there. But I think in this build, Garda is I definitely like having the Garda for sure. You can side it out a lot, especially if you're against something that isn't so aggro. I think it's fine to side it out and then just bring in outs to stuff. But I think in game 1, having the Garda is really useful. And then the 5 Spations are now just the same, but with a third Panther. We're still on that Gores. We're slimmed down to 1 Junk Synchron. Yeah, I think in the deep draw like build that we're really like rapidly accelerating towards, I think that you don't really need to have multiple of these so that you have like a Junk Synchron turn, play after play after play. We're mainly just looking to summon this like once on turn 2 or 3 and then go in with our creators and our dad. So yeah, we're on the trade-ins. We play 6 targets for trade-in, which it would normally be kind of light. I guess in Amaryllis you play 6 targets as well, but in Amaryllis, like, the value of the trade-in is just so undeniably broken. Getting those plants to your grave. In here, though, because you have all the draw cards, it's like kind of not a problem. Your deck thins so fast anyway, so I think 3 trade-ins with 6 targets, perfectly acceptable. Helps you fill up your grave with darks. Helps you get Nephthys down there if you don't want to pitch it for its own effect. And then you can just bring it back with Creator, however, later. Of course, we got those contacts and those upstarts still. Just want maximum consistency. Allure also helps with that. So we're playing just 10 draw cards, 10 draw spells, like turbo to the max in here. Rhoda and Foolish are additional consistency cards for your opening hand. You pretty much always want to be summoning Armageddon turn 1 to be getting that +1, filling up your graveyard with darks. Otherwise, we are on Brain heavy. Brain is a card I'm like maybe a little iffy on. I just can't think of a better thing to go in this slot. And it does help like break boards and OTK and stuff a lot too. And it is just a really broken card. So I think we're probably going to be keeping it, but it was one that I was thinking about. The trap lineup. So Dust Shoot is great because you can just draw it with like insane consistency on your opening move. Because you will just often draw like down to 30 cards in your deck or something. So you see it a lot more often than most decks will. Solemn and Mirror, we're playing these two because they let you protect your established board with Creator, which Torrential doesn't do. And then, so Torrential's in the side, and then the other traps are just like Return Call. Obviously really broken in here. Like, Nephthys is an additional way to set up your turn really fast, since it just banishes 2 darks from your grave. Creator and Dad also do this. You also play Plague. So getting Return Live is super easy. Call is great. You can just like end phase call a Nephthys, pop a back row. That's really good. You can have it be chainable to bring back Crossporter, get a +1 if your opponent just uses blind removal on it. So the call is really good. I definitely like this trap lineup. I like it a lot better than shoving in Reckless Greeds into the version that already plays Traded. The side of the extra, I think the extra is completely unchanged. It's just like the synchros that we want to make with Junk Synchron and Plague Spreader. So yeah, I mean, we got one Junk Archer in there. I guess that's maybe worth remarking on, but other than that, it's pretty much just a bunch of broken generic, synchro guys. And Fortress Dragon, of course. Fortress Dragon is pretty important. Since Cyber Dragon's in the side, it helps deal with a lot of the stuff you maybe, like Hero Beat or Gladiator Beast stuff where Cyber's good. And then also, it lets you just go into another Dark Monster, put another Dark Monster into rotation, so that's pretty cool too for Creator. But yeah, a lot of the side is just dedicated to like countering the things that people are going to do to counter you. So Smashing Ground, of course, to deal with any kind of floodgate monsters. You got Typhoon and Decrees to deal with Shadow Imprisoning or Oppression or whatever. Then Torrential's in the side as well. One of the big blowout side deck cards is obviously still DDV. It's a little worse, I think. Well, maybe it's not worse. We slimmed down a Junk Synchron, but then the consistency of seeing the Junk Synchron is honestly kind of still pretty high because you draw so much and you have Rhoda still. And then also you can technically use it with like Nephthys, which is in here. So I think Deck Dev's still very much worth playing. Mind Crush is always probably worth playing in Spations because you got that Dolphin, and the Dolphin is lets you see the hand for free, which is dumb. Okay, My Body helps combat Deck Dev. Crow just helps you not lose to friggin' Exodia or whatever. I will always side to Crow, like no matter what I'm playing, just to not get high rolled by dumb nonsense like that. So that's the build, and we're going to be looking at a couple matches with it. I think I played like 8 matches with this build, but there were a lot of just super easy wins and people leaving after 1 game, so we managed to slim it down to 4 that are actually worth watching. First one is up against Quick Draw. I think we played 2 matches against Quick Draw, actually. So one thing you're going to notice is that the consistency of this deck is kind of wild. Like, you're just always drawing and slimming your deck by multiple cards on turn 1. Just like always. I swear, just always. So here we draw Panther. It's like not a great draw, but they play right into the Gores, which is really good for us because we have Storm and we have Mirror Force, so we have a lot of power cards to potentially back up this play here. So we draw Nephthys. Nephthys isn't actually bad. I decided to play into the Mirror Force. Maybe bluff like I have a Dark Creator in my hand, but I figure it's not a problem because we have our own Mirror Force to set, even if things do go wrong here, and we can, yeah, I think we're fine. So we use the Nephthys, and then the Nephthys is going to come back next turn. The opponent does nothing because they draw second Avarice. They're kind of bricking at this point, but they also have their Gores. However, yeah, we can kind of play better around Gores than they could. I think we do decide to just go for it. There's a thought of like, yeah, we could summon Mole, or we could play it safe. I do decide to just go for lethal. So I summon the Junk Synchron, because that's how much we need to attack for game, given that they are at 87 after us resolving that upstart. They make a mistake. They dropped the Gores too late. They should have just dropped it on the first 24. I don't think it ends up mattering, because they would have died next turn anyway. But, yeah, they probably should have done it the other way. We just Grand Mole this, and then we hit over, and then we attack for 72. So they were dead either way, but... yeah, they probably shouldn't have taken the extra 24. All right, moving on to game number 2. Game number 2. Okay, yeah, I remember this. I think I played real bad this game, actually. Just, like, really bad. I don't know. To be fair to me, we also opened, like, the worst hand out of all of these games that we played. Just by far. But I guess we still had Dust Shoot, though, and we're still going off this turn, so it's... So it's actually, like, a little bit... Yeah, maybe we're still going off turn 2. So we're drawing more cards, and then we draw into Dad, but... we make a huge misplay here that almost costs us the game, which is that obviously what we should be doing is we should be knowing what's in their hand, knowing the Vanity's Fiend is there. We should be summoning the Junk Synchron, because the Junk Synchron play contests the Titanial, or the Mole contests the Titanial, but only the Mole contests the Vanity's Fiend, so there's no reason to risk the Mole into this back row, because if we do that and then we lose the Mole, then we could potentially lose to Vanity's Fiend. Now, maybe we should have just taken the Vanity's Fiend off the Dust Shoot instead of the Kaiku. I decided to make a greedy play there, so this might have been multiple, like, compounding misplays. So now we just gotta hope that he doesn't Tribute Summon Vanity's Fiend, and then he just attacks into the Gores, which, to be fair, from his perspective, tributing this Titanial for a Vanity's Fiend isn't necessarily a great play. It's not, like, that appealing of a thing to do from his position. It just happens that I have Gores, and this ends up going really wrong for him. But I think, yeah, we definitely played that wrong. And here we use Priority for some reason, but we would have just, like, lost the duel if it was Torrential. But given that it is anything besides Torrential, I guess we do win by putting the 3rd Dark in our grave, so now the Dad comes down. But it just seemed like I played super greedy and unsafe this game for no reason, and it just kind of happened to pay off. So yeah, we take that match. Next up, we've got it's up against the Valhalla Fairies, which we played against this, and I think, like, also Banish Stun was another match we have later. And both just feel like some really pre-nonsense bad matchup because they got, like, all these main deck floodgates that completely own us. In fact, this was not just Valhalla Fairies with Christias. This also had, like, Vanity's Ruler and Mausoleum. And I'm just like, oh my god. Our game one is rough. It's a good thing that the things kind of went well here. So yeah, once again, I mean, just opening turn every time, we're filling up our graveyard with darks. We're drawing multiple cards. And we get in with the Urbellum, too, which is absolutely brutal. They decree, but I don't know why they're on Wabaku. That's such a strange card for them to be playing, actually. Very odd. But yeah, you can see this game. They're on Vanity's Ruler as well, and then, like, Mausoleums. This is just some, like, super stun, annoying nonsense that we got to deal with. Now, this hand is obviously just broken beyond imagination. Which... To be fair, an enormous quantity of hands that we're going to be seeing were just broken beyond imagination. I just cannot get over how good it seems that we draw with this deck. So we go in with the Cataster. You could argue maybe they should have orange lighted the Junk Synchron to keep the graveyard from having that Cataster down there, I guess, because then we wouldn't have been able to revive Cataster, but we would have just revived, like, Porter or something, so I don't know if it mattered too much. We bring back the Cataster, and then the Cataster is a huge issue for them as well. We bring back the Nephthys with the Creator. Nephthys is going to take out in that back row for free. And then we just attack. And from this point, I think we're pretty much winning. Actually, he is on 4 Fairies, so I decided to just blind Mind Crush Christia. Just because it would be annoying to have to, I don't know, solemn that or deal with that, however. Just, yeah, there's nothing in our hand we care about a whole lot either. But then we just see it's 2 Mausoleums and a Kaya, so it's just like, yeah, alright, I don't know. Unfortunate for the opponent. They seem to be playing some really all-in kind of stun thing where it's just trying to, like, turbo out these level 8 Floodgate guys, which in theory would be really good against us. Just kind of didn't work out for them. Just maybe not consistent enough, whereas our deck is ultra consistent, so yeah, we're always just seeing our crazy plays. Next match, yeah, this is the Banish Stun one we were talking about. So this should be an abysmal matchup. The opponent does kind of brick, though. They do just draw a bunch of monsters. The Kaiku's kind of annoying, because now that means Junk Synchron's dead. Although we do rely on Junk Synchron plays a little bit less in this deck than the other one, which is definitely nice. It means your Porter getting banished isn't such a big deal. But we Foolish another one anyway. And then I think we just decide to drop the Dark Arm. Gores is definitely a nice draw in this kind of matchup. Gores is going to be a very important piece of dealing with their stuff. So we see their hand. We see it's 5 monsters. I'm like, all right, you know what? We're getting aggressive. We're going to make this android, and we're just going to get in for damage. They do have another Kaiku, so if they draw a back row, they can maybe set some of the Kaiku, set like the battle trap or whatever. They draw a lore, which is really good for them, but they don't find anything to stay alive. So, I mean, one way or another, I think they're just... They're in trouble. They probably should have summoned the Kaiku, because then they wouldn't have died this turn. They would have gotten to live one more turn at least, but now they're just dead. So, yeah, I think seeing one more draw phase would have been better, but they were pretty much cooked either way. So moving on to game number 2. Game number 2, we get turn 1 Deified, and we do not have an answer here. Now, before you tell me I can't do this, understand that Convert Contact does not send for cost, so actually I can do this. They just get banished. So we'd set Torrential Tribute, and they play into it, but we don't have, like, we're actually just drawing really bad on top of being under Deifi. So I think we set just to try and just to wall. Yeah, we were on Trunade in the side instead of MST in this iteration. I think that was the only difference, but it ends up mattering because I think Typhoon would have just been better to deal with the Deifi. And then I get... Yeah, this was super greedy. We should have just waited and then done this giant Trunade and then, like, tried to set up some kind of play. But I just, like, decide I want to resolve my draw cards. I probably misplayed there, too. Now, drawing this Cores after Judgment is not a good feeling. So I think... Yeah, we probably misplayed a little bit this game, too. We maybe should not have Judgmented this, because we could have possibly maybe done something next turn with Return, although I don't know. We'd have had to, like, force through a Synchro play with Searching Junk Synchron and then bringing back a bunch. But it still probably would have worked because we have Judgment to stop their... yeah, because their Judgment was the only answer. Maybe we actually could have won that game if I just not played like an idiot. It kind of looks like that might be the case. Now we just win this game, right? Like... Right, this game is just over. We went first, and we just, like, we always have it, you know? We just always have it, and Decree is now set, so we have Return, too, and they have officially just added fuel to the fire by banishing our stuff. Our FDD is obviously crazy in this particular matchup. It's a great way of coping, because we can just randomly win the game as they're banishing all of our monsters. So, yeah, they flip up Macro, too, which lets us banish another Dark Nephthys. So now when we return, the Dark Nephthys are just going to, like... It's going to be like in Airblade format when you Dimension Fusion back some Stratoses and just, like, Feather Duster the opponent back row. Like, we're just going to RFDD, bring back some Nephthys, kill both, and then we are going to... We're just attacking for game, right? We're going to do some Synchro plays, activate Smashing Ground. We have Decree and Judgment. There's just no way they stop this, and they are super giga dead. Yeah, weird. Looking back on this game, I think we maybe should not have lost game 2. But yeah, that's the matchup against Banish done. Final match we have is against Quick Draw a second time, and the hand we open is, as usual, very good. We're going to be doing the Armageddonite play, draw on some cards, draw on some more cards, draw into a Foolish Burial, send another card, get another card, and just like that, we're down to 27 cards in our deck, setting the Dust Shoot. I actually hold it here and get super rewarded. So they Typhoon our Dust Shoot, we're just going to go ahead and chain it, hit that Lone Fire Blossom, and we're going to... yeah, it's weird to me that they didn't set a Dust Tornado. I feel like they should have set one. Maybe they just want to, like, make me confused about what the set might be, given that they drew another card. But now, since they set a monster, I know that the set monster is the new card. So it didn't really matter. And now we have the Call Down, which is chainable. So we just attack. We just attack, assuming that it's Dust Tornado. And we attack with the 1400 Armageddonite. We set a new one to try and base the Dust Tornado, but he is convinced that he wants to Dust Tornado this. I don't know why, so we just chain it and we get a +1. So he's now just gone -2 off of hitting my back row with blind stuff. So here he goes for the Foolish. I don't know if I agree with that Foolish. It seemed kind of weird. We're drawing more cards. We draw into 2 more Nephthys, which I guess isn't fantastic. On the other hand, we can now rip the Quick Draw from his hand, and then just run over some tokens, I guess. And then do we use this Nephthys for next turn? That is the question. No, we do not. So we just get our Mirror Force. Yeah, we probably maybe should have used the Nephthys. I don't know, maybe we just want this thing to die so we can Creator. He has Caius Raikou, but he just concedes after drawing the Titanium, which, yeah, I've been there. I get that feeling. So, second game, our opening hand, very good as per usual. Opening hand, very good. Always, always. That's just how it goes. We draw into a second Nephthys and another Neospacian, which I guess isn't fantastic. On the other hand, you know, we're kind of chilling. It does suck that this was Hamster and not Raikou, but, you know, sometimes they go first and open Hamster. That's just how it goes in Edison format. So the opponent goes for Lone Fire Titanium. However, the Nephthys is going to be coming back. We draw second Creator. Once again, not a great draw, but the Grand Mole does answer this rather well. And we can just run over the Hamster, and now we know there's a Titanium in his hand, which is essentially just a dead card. We draw to the deck dev, though, which I decided to shotgun to play around some kind of Tribute Summon play, or even to stop him from flipping Raikou up and getting more mills. So we rip a bunch of things. We see his hand. One of his sets was Dandelion, so he gets some tokens. And I think we just go for the Mole here. We get deprisoned. We were bound to eat that at some point. Now we're going to use the Nephthys again, set call. We kind of had to do this because it was the only convenient, clean way to out the Light and Darkness Dragon, because we can chain the Call of the Haunted, bring back the Nephthys. Then on a new chain link, the Nephthys is going to activate, which would normally kill itself here, but the Light and Darkness Dragon has to negate the Nephthys effect, so it's going to actually just lose another 500, and we get to keep the Dark Nephthys. I think for a while about what to do, and then I decide we're just going to have to run this over. Yeah, he gets a guy from the graveyard, but he doesn't have anything that fantastic. We see that he has drawn Bottomless and Typhoon, so we basically still know his whole hand. I decide to play into Torrential here. It's either Torrential or Typhoon. Obviously, if he Torrentials... I mean, this is just like too good of a Torrential to pass up. So if he doesn't Torrential, it's Typhoon. If he does Torrential, we just drop Creator and like go off, so it's kind of a win-win situation. I decided to just make him use the Typhoon immediately if he wants to stop the Nephthys attack, which he does do. Then we hit over the token, beat over one of the dandies, so he can't be summoning the Titanium. However, he rips Avers, which is a really good draw. Deck dev is over as well, so he's going to get to draw 2 cards. He doesn't find anything great. He sets the Torrential, and then here we do play into it. I think we kind of make a mistake. Or no, I think I just like tried to double normal because I was thinking super long on this if there was a lethal line. But fortunately, we do catch it, or the opponent catches it. So thank you, opponent, for not letting me do that. I think we do add back the Dark Arm Dragon as well. But I probably should have put this Creator in defense. I notice sometimes I don't think through my lines enough in advance, and I put the Creator in attack when there's really no reason to. So yeah, we probably should have summoned him in defense mode. And then here we go, bring back the Nephthys. Nephthys is going to take out a back row. And then obviously now we can drop Dark Arm Dragon since we're down to 3 Darks in the graveyard. And then the Dark Arm Dragon is going to Prio pop the monster. We know that Torrential Tribute is gone, so we don't have to worry about that. And now we can just, I don't know, I think we just summon Aqua Dolphin, and then we hand rip, and then we guarantee to have game from this point. So that is going to be it. That was the final of the replays with the Neospacian deck. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. I'm kind of amazed at the consistency. I feel like we just always have like an awesome turn 1 hand. I don't know. It definitely feels awesome. The power definitely feels crazy. I mean, if we can just, so long as we have those sideboard sort of outs to deal with our opponent's sideboard, like floodgates, you know, I feel like we're going to be cooking with this deck. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites, definitely one of the most fun ones to play for me personally. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments section. I'll see you next time. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Furthermore, if you enjoy my content, you should think about becoming a channel member. You get access to tons of bonus content, and it's a great way to help support the channel.